He lost his parents at an age when most children don't even understand what loss means. At just 7 years old, little Orphan was left with nothing but a torn school bag, an empty stomach, and a heart full of unanswered questions. Life in the small village was cruel. Relatives turned him away, neighbors pitied him but offered no real help, and many whispered that his future was already buried with his parents. But Orphan refused to believe that. Deep inside, he carried a small flicker of hope, and that tiny flame was all he needed. Every day, he worked odd jobs just to survive, carrying loads at the market, cleaning tea stalls, or selling newspapers at dawn. His hands blistered, his body ached, and his stomach often remained empty. The coins he earned barely bought him bread, but instead of spending them all on food, he saved a few for notebooks and second-hand textbooks. Hungry stomach, tired hands, but a determined soul. At night, when other children slept peacefully in warm beds, Orphan sat under the dim glow of the streetlight outside the marketplace. That was his classroom. That was where he scribbled down lessons he remembered from school and where he taught himself chapters he never got to hear. The street dogs curled up beside him for warmth, and the cold breeze often made his fingers numb, but he continued to write. Passers-by mocked him. Some laughed, saying, "Books don't feed you, boy. Work will." Others shook their heads, calling him foolish. But he smiled quietly and kept writing. Deep down, he knew something they didn't. Poverty could break his body, but not his spirit. Years passed. His clothes stayed worn out, but his mind grew sharper, brighter. Teachers noticed his unusual dedication and offered him old notes and guidance. An old shopkeeper gave him leftover food so he wouldn't study on an empty stomach. Sometimes, a kind-hearted passerby left a candle on the step, so he wouldn't strain his eyes under the streetlight alone. Slowly, life began to give back to the boy who never gave up. By the time he was a teenager, Orphan had topped his exams. His name spread through the village, and newspapers featured him as the streetlight boy. For the first time, people saw him not as an orphan, but as an example. He earned a scholarship to a city college, a dream he once thought too far away. But city life was not easy. The tall buildings, fast crowds, and endless noise were overwhelming for a village boy. He juggled part-time jobs while studying, often going sleepless nights before exams. He washed dishes in hotels, delivered parcels, and tutored children just to afford food and rent. Many times, he thought of quitting. The loneliness, the exhaustion, the endless pressure, sometimes it felt too much. But each time doubt crept in, he remembered those cold nights under the streetlight, the voices that mocked him, and the hunger that kept him awake. He told himself, If I endured then, I can endure now. Years rolled on. Hard work, faith, and sacrifice slowly carved his path. Each exam he passed, each obstacle he overcame, was another brick laid in the foundation of his dream. Finally, the day arrived, the day his name was announced not as the orphan boy, but as Dr. Ahmed Ali. Tears blurred his eyes as he wore the white coat for the first time. The weight of the stethoscope around his neck was heavier than gold, for it carried not just achievement, but every sleepless night, every empty stomach, every tear shed in silence. In that moment, he wasn't just a doctor. He was living proof that no matter how broken your beginning is, your ending can still inspire the world. Today, Dr. Orphan runs a small hospital in his village. He treats poor children for free, knowing too well the pain of being helpless. His hospital walls are simple, the rooms modest, but for the villagers, it is a place of hope. Children who once saw him study under the streetlight now see him as their role model. When asked why he never left for a bigger city job, where fame and money awaited, he smiles and says, because dreams don't die if you never give up, and I want to remind every child here that their dreams matter. I was once a boy who had nothing. If I could read here, so can they. The same streetlight where his journey began still stands. Sometimes, at night, Dr. Orphan walks past it. He pauses, looks at its soft glow, and whispers to himself, "Thank you for never letting me give up." Moral of the story: your struggles don't define your future, your determination does. Even in darkness, if you carry hope, you can light your own path. Stories like Orphan's prove that even the darkest nights can lead to the brightest mornings. If this inspired you, make sure to subscribe for more motivational stories, and remember, never give up on your dreams.